I'm your host, Eric King.
And I'm Daryl Gaddis, and these are some of the top stories from this week.
We have some very important international news coming out of the 2018 Winter Olympics opening ceremony, and we'll also be following up on a story we've been following for a couple of weeks regarding DACA.
And, as always, we'll have some helpful advice for you in our Health Minute, a quick peek at what's trending around the world as far as social media is concerned, and then we'll wrap everything up with This Week in History.
We'll kick things off with some international news from across the world. In a CNN article entitled Winter Olympics Opening Ceremony Sees Historic Handshake, Diplomacy in Sports Mixed Awkwardly in the opening spectacular ceremony of the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea, as the sworn adversaries sat just feet apart while North Korea received a welcome that would have been unthinkable just a few months ago. In a ceremony infused with themes of peace and harmony, South Korean President Moon shook hands twice with Kim Yo-jong, the sister of very controversial North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, with President Mike Pence just sitting feet away in the same VIP booth. The unprecedented encounter between the two senior Koreans fueled hopes that the Olympics could succeed in doing what a generation of world leaders has failed to do, to lay the groundwork to reconcile, however tentatively, reconcile the process of bringing these two nations together who share the same peninsula and that are the same people. And often what gets in the way of the political things like the nuclear conflict with the controversial leader from North Korea. So this being the first time that a North Korean ruling dynasty family member has been to South Korea since the South Korean War in 1953. This was a landmark event. The two figures on opposite sides of the divided peninsula of Korea watched as their athletes representing both the nations under one unified flag marched together in the stadium. Teams from North Korea and South Korea entered the arena under the unified flag, which is a blue silhouette of the peninsula outlining the island. Athletes from both sides took selfies with each other and waited and walked through the stadium and basically stole the hearts of the 35,000 cheering fans that were there to greet them. However, the event was not without controversy, as there were many in South Korea who were protesting the North's participation. So again, there's still a long way to go, but overall this was a giant leap forward for what can only be described at this time still a divided people. But there is hope.
You know what time it is. It's time for your Health Minute. Do you live in a cold northern climate? Well, I do. I live in Minnesota. Somebody famous once said, you know it's cold outside when you go outside and it's cold outside. So today we're going to be looking at dry skin and some simple ways to soothe your ashiness. Number 1, limit your time in the shower. So take a 5 or a 10-minute shower, nothing more. Number 2, use moisturizer immediately after washing. Number 3, use ointment or cream rather than lotion. Number 4, use lip balm. Number 5, use gentle, unscented skincare products. Number 6, wear gloves. Number 7, add moisture to the air. Get a humidifier. Humidify your environment. With that said, I'll wrap up with a tip for the ladies. Did you know that going to bed with your makeup on can age your skin 7 times faster?
Following up on a story we brought you a couple of weeks ago, an article entitled Anger Rises from Left as DACA Left Out of the Budget Deal Again, we see that this continues to be a major stumbling block in Washington. As a massive bipartisan budget deal moved through towards a vote this last Thursday, temperatures were rising on the left, where Democrats were fuming that once again immigration reform was left behind. Illinois Representative Luis Gutierrez, a longtime Democratic advocate for immigration reform, said that anyone who votes for the Senate budget deal is colluding with the president and his administration to deport dreamers. It's as simple as that. Now, those are strong words to say the least from the left. Democrats on the left, especially members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, were frustrated to see a budget deal negotiated that resolves virtually every Democratic priority except resolving the issue in regards to the Deferred Action for Children Childhood Arrivals Program, aka DACA, a policy that protected young undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children that President Donald Trump decided to terminate in September. This Senate is expected to pass the bill Thursday, and in fact did, and it was signed Friday, and send it to the House attached to with continued resolutions to fund the government up until March. So the government shutdown will cease. Government funding expired last Thursday at midnight and would have forced many federal agencies and services to be put on hold. However, the pushback was fierce, and it prompted House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi to take the House floor for a record-breaking 8 hours straight on Wednesday, reading stories of DACA recipients. But that wasn't enough to satisfy some of her base, whose leadership team sent conflicting messages saying that they weren't whipping the bill Wednesday, but then sent a whip notice for that exact same bill on the same day. So as a positive, the government is open once again, but as a negative, more beating around the bush and leaving the future of so many millions of young Americans in limbo. Once again, the ground continues to suffer.
All right, guys, it's time for your Pop Culture Minute. In a world where perfection is highly desired, a company by the name of Smile Direct Club has been establishing a strong presence in the orthopedic world. Smile Direct Club is a cost-effective way of purchasing invisible aligners. Invisible aligners are braces made from plastic or acrylic material that fit tightly on the teeth, but can be removed for eating, brushing, and flossing. You get new aligners every 2 weeks or so to continue moving your teeth into their desired position. On average, you'd be wearing these invisible aligners for 6 to 8 months, more extensive cases as long as 14 months. If you're interested in taking advantage of this service, check out the link below. It'll give you everything that you need to know about Smile Direct Club and taking advantage of their invisible aligners. I am personally really excited as I will be starting my first invisible aligner come March. So with that said, that's been your Health Minute.
On this episode of This Week in History, we're taking it way back to 1820, where we see the first freed U.S. slaves depart on their journey back to Africa.
The first organized immigration of freed slaves to Africa from the United States departs New York Harbor on a journey to Freetown, Sierra Leone in West Africa. The immigration was largely the work of the American Colonization Society, a U.S. organization founded in 1816 by Robert Finley to return freed African slaves to Africa.
However, the expedition was also partially funded by the U.S. Congress, which in 1819 had appropriated $100,000, a lot of money in that day, to be used in returning displaced Africans illegally brought to the United States after the abolishment of the slave trade in 1808 to Africa.
During the next few decades, thousands of freed slaves came from Canada, the West Indies, and other parts of West Africa to Sierra Leone colony.
However, between 1822 and the American Civil War, some 15,000 African Americans settled in Liberia, which was granted independence by the United States in 1847 under pressure from Great Britain. Liberia was officially granted U.S. diplomatic recognition in 1862. It was the first independent democratic republic in African history. So I know for many of you who are not from Minnesota and probably do not know this, we have a huge Liberian population, the LIB, as they call themselves. And so when I saw this for This Week in History, I just had to do it for the people. So thank you all so much, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode of This Week in History. All right. We're wrapping things up with nothing other than, of course, our word of the day. And the word of the day is...
embargo. What does embargo mean, you might be asking? Let me tell you. Embargo means an official ban on trade or other commercial activity with a particular country.
Ooh, that's like political bullying?
Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links below for more information.
Awesome. And as always, let your heart not be troubled.
Neither let it be afraid.
Peace.
Love.